welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
We sure do.
Yep, we always do until the day we don't. I am just waiting for that wardrobe thing to be delivered today.
Oh, yeah.
We were just before recording, we were talking about projects and stuff like in the backyard, and then I'm doing a lot in my house and outside.
Yeah.
We've lived in our house for we're coming up on 11 years, and nothing's been painted in 11 years. Well, I have done touch-up paint, and then I did like an accent wall and training race room. So it's just coming up on the time where like, okay, things need to be updated. And so we did put in the vinyl flooring a couple years ago. Yeah. A couple years. Yeah. It was like the year before you moved out here or over here. And so there's like stuff in the bathroom we want to fix. I'm going to put in a whole pantry like with shelves because we have the cutout for it. And then I'm going to repaint the whole house. So you were helping me look at paint colors on Sherwin-Williams website. And so I have paint swatches coming. I always get like this, maybe like twice a year, I get like the itch to spring clean and brighten things up. But now it's like, okay, we've been here over 10 years and, we have 4 kids and the little ones. Oh my gosh, I'm just like ready to repaint like doors and doorways and all the baseboards and stuff. And then stuff in the backyard. Like I'm going to get the same, which I should have done from the beginning. And I don't know why. I just thought the chicken coop was the chicken run was just going to be too big.
It's because chicken math.
I know. We really went above what we planned to start with.
Yeah. Yep.
You were like, I'm going to have 3. And no. And then we
9
both
extra
had like,
later.
oh my gosh, at one point between the two of us, we had like 30.
A lot.
And it was just a lot of like selling them and like
rehoming.
Yeah.
I rehomed some roosters,
yes.
which I kept a long time ago. And like I've been trying to rehome one of ours. I'm still trying.
Yeah.
Because he's just worthless. He's a deadbeat trailer park husband.
So yeah, I got the one that's half your size. And I should have gotten the bigger run because we both got the same exact chicken coop. Which is nice. It's great. It'll really definitely last in comparison to some of the cheap wood ones that I've gotten in the past. Like that one that we have out in the backyard that we put the chicks in when they were like teenagers.
Yeah.
That thing's fallen up.
Which is more like a
gone.
single guinea pig hutch.
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny.
like the original. I think that's the original one or like the replacement that we bought when we first got chickens and we just had like a few. And so yeah, we're gonna redo our whole backyard, and oh my gosh, I don't know how we're gonna get that passion fruit out. I'm leaving that to Jack. So
I don't know what the root system looks like.
I don't know either. It's huge. It's like the size of my arm.
It's like
that
a tree.
Root is like a tree. Yeah. So he's gonna have to move that because in that back area, just like you have, I'm gonna have the chicken run there, and then I'm just gonna
all
use
the flies will be in the back.
I know. Yeah, to annoy my neighbor. So
we'll get they said that it was so bad last year because it was the rain. And even now we haven't had as much rain as we did last year. So that it's fucked up and it sucks. Sorry, swears. But it means that we won't have as many bugs this coming
I hope
up
not.
year.
But also I did get those big fly trap things, those mesh ones that have the bag. And so basically you just need like a Ziploc bag or whatever to go under it. I'm going to just be on it with those.
Yeah.
And
it's like the same kind that
it's like
we
the
get
horse
at the feed
ranch
store. Like the bag?
Not that. It's it's that green mesh one.
Oh, okay.
And then the bag goes on the bottom, so it attracts the flies up. So, yeah.
And then they die and fall down?
Yes. And then this year, I'm definitely doing straw. I haven't done straw. I don't know in how long.
Like
but
for the ground run?
Yes.
That's good. I'll go in with you. We could take the truck.
Yeah. I probably am going to need... Because I wanted to do straw for the quail as well. And I think one bale of hay's for the rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah, because if the chickens eat it, they'll die.
Yeah.
Because it binds them up, right?
So I think so. But the straw, you can do straw bales. And and I think I might need we both might need 1.5 for the size because it's 20 feet by,
so
what was it, 20 by 10?
So we'll get 3 and then have.
But then I might need one just for the quail because my small one, I'm doing the quail in there. So
my idea, how about we could do it all at one time?
Yeah.
Which is the straw. Yeah, the straw. And I really want to do the pine pellets, and that would fill in the gaps of the straw.
Maybe.
Because I hear
Tractor Supply's cheapest for that.
I hear it's really good for selling, for absorbing the stuff, and then they just grind it up and it turns down.
So I'm really going to try to, we both, summer is just so hard and it gets really smelly really fast. So yeah, we're working on our outside stuff and like I said, I'm working on inside stuff.
Our weather for yard work is winter.
Yes, it is, because we can't do it in 110 degree weather.
Unless, I mean, I don't mind evening gardening, but the sun goes down, the mosquitoes come out and we get eaten alive.
Oh, it's horrible.
We need beekeeper suits for
seriously.
But then it's still 95. It's just not sunny.
No, and yeah, I get overheated really easily. I've been borderline heat stroke a few times doing yard work.
That sucks.
And one time it was really scary. And
a lot of it too is mental health medication that I take. You're photophobic. You can't. You're not supposed to go in the sun because you can get sunburn, sunstroke, heat stroke, insanely fast.
Yeah, and I'm on the same as you.
Yeah, and it that's why.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that after starting medication.
I get the hot, it's not actually a sunburn, but it's a crazy heat rash that pops up just from being in the sun for a few minutes. And my sister does too. My face
turns red like a tomato, and then I get an immediate headache, and I could be drinking water.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not dehydration. It's overheating, and I will feel physically ill.
I think it's almost like an allergic reaction is what happens. It's
it's almost like I feel like I have a fever.
Yeah, you feel sick.
I feel sick. And so
and then you'll get
one
the
time
one
time I got so sick I had to get in a cold shower. Like a lukewarm, shower and slowly make it cooler. And and then this last time, it was recently, I can't remember what I was working. Oh, the driveway. Remember when my mom had the kids for that week after Christmas, before New Year's? And I cleared off the driveway.
Oh, the long driveway.
And yes,
I'm thinking of the van.
No, well,
part.
I did in front of the van. But then I did the whole driveway.
Okay.
And except for the woodpile area. And it wasn't even that hot out. And I came inside and my face was so red. And I was like, man, and it was sunny that day. And so I just think I have a sensitivity to the sun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are working on our outside projects probably this weekend because it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And we have, Jack's not working this weekend.
I think it is supposed to. We had rain in the forecast. Now they say it's coming back, but
I just know we have a lot to get done outside. And then, like I said, I bought a wardrobe for Lincoln Lily's room that I need to put together, and they sent it in 2 separate boxes. So I got one 4 days ago, and then the other one's out for delivery today. So we took apart their old dresser. It was falling apart, and I bought them a wardrobe, so more storage, something to grow with them. So I'm really excited. It's really pretty. And,
I saw it. It's really, really cute. It's a cute neutral.
Yeah, it's a little lighter than my floors.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, when you see them on the floor next to each other, it's a little lighter than the floor.
I'm trying to think of the bits that I saw already laying there.
Yeah, you'll have to look again. And then that mesh part, that screen, is on wood. So it's not see-through. So
perfect. Oh my God. Because that's what I told. Yeah, I was like, oh no.
They're just going to poke a hole through that.
I would probably punch a fucking hole through it trying to grab it.
Exactly.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited.
It's like that old school circle
lattice,
wicker back in the day.
So I'm really excited. So we're gonna paint.
Can you help me build that bookshelf table thing of Lenore's that we still didn't do?
Yeah. If my stuff doesn't get delivered before when we're done, then I'll help you with that right away because cool. It shouldn't take long. That's not as complicated as the bookshelf
It was
thing.
so exciting.
And I'm not making dinner tonight, so I'm free.
Oh, Lenore just realized that it's a desk too.
Oh my gosh.
Literally
what did you think it was? Just
night,
a bookshelf?
She thought it was just a nice slim bookshelf. So she was really excited. And I was like, Lenore, no, it's a desk too.
Yeah.
What she doesn't know is that eventually she does occasionally listen to this. So if she does, whatever. But I'm gonna eventually, what she really wanted was a full like a vanity. Not like a crazy huge expensive one or anything, but it was a little bit more out of budget, and this was affordable and it's really like a perfect.
Well, that's like what Avery has as a desk, but then she has the mirror, so it's like a vanity, so it's kind of a 2-in-1.
Yeah. See, Lenore has the cute little magnified vanity mirror she already has, and so she wanted a desk, and this is awesome because it's meant for like small spaces, and the desktop like folds up into the wall, and it has a chalkboard.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, the legs are a chalkboard. So when you fold it up, it's a chalkboard. And I'm like, oh my God.
Cool.
I really don't think she'll have it folded up too much because she's probably going to have her pops and stuff. But like, you can still write on the chalkboard when it's folded down. It's visible. It's really freaking cool.
Yeah, I'll totally help you. I'm the one that everybody asks for help with building the furniture and stuff.
Kurt and I have built projects together, and we don't fight or freak out. It goes okay, but it ends up taking a really long time too.
Oh, it's my jam. I'm so
you are very good at it. The thing is, dude, you need to do TaskRabbit.
Remember I was going to, and then it freaked me out because the thought of like I'm a woman and I'm going into like these strangers' houses to like build their furniture. Give me anything IKEA. I could build that and like so fast. I'm so good with just assembling furniture. Like
I will say I'm getting better at it, but it stresses me out like immediately.
Oh no, I love it.
It's like a puzzle.
That's why I'm like, can we do it today? I want to do
probably.
it. I'm really good at it. So I'm actually excited to do the wardrobe.
I mean, the reality is when we're done with this, we could just pop all the bits out at least and get an idea, and we could build part of it or whatever.
I got power tools. I could do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm really good at
my
power tools
drill
too.
was not. I actually just checked it because I have the drill attachments like you do. Remember we were talking about that?
The cleaning drill.
I'm gonna deep clean my shower, and I was like, oh, I got that drill attachment. If you have never heard of them, do yourself a favor. I have arthritis. It sucks ass in my hands. And the drill attachment cleaning brushes, you can get them on Amazon, but like most places, and it's amazing. Y'all need to do yourself a favor. They're so helpful. You still have to hold the trigger down of your drill, obviously, but
better than like actually scrubbing my hand.
It's hard.
Then
you can do two hands and like
well, I'm gonna need my power tools anyways for the wardrobe, so I'm like, I'll have power tools out. We'll
just make sure we plug it in. We will do it. You will, and I'll sit there and and I'm the fucking sidekick. I'm like, here's part B. I just watch you and hand you the parts.
That's just totally fine.
I'll put my stories on. I'm watching Dynasty, everybody, the OG one, and it's so trampy and dramatic and amazing, and I love it.
Okay, so we got a plan, but when does this come out? This comes out, I think, the week of
the last week of the month.
The week of Avery's birthday.
Oh.
The week of her birthday, and I'm excited for that because she's gonna go roller skating. And
the girls are gonna have a lot of fun.
Troy and Avery are actually going roller skating tomorrow.
Oh, fun!
At the same exact place.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Patrick's leaving for military school.
Oh, okay.
And it's like that 6-month thing, and so they're doing a surprise thing at the skating rink.
Oh, that's adorable.
So they're gonna swing by and pick up Troy and Avery. So
I love that.
It'll be fun. It's a fun surprise party for going away.
That's adorable.
So so a lot of fun things happening in January.
That's awesome.
New year, new experiences and plans. I like January. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I have
the craft. Yes, I do.
I was like, wait, me? Nope, you.
Yep, and I just got done telling you. I was like, oh, it's really short. We always say that.
Well, we had a long episode last episode.
We did, yeah.
So this one,
This is a little shorty but goody. This is pretty much everybody I know has ever heard of this. And again, I did not know where they came from. Fuse beads.
Fuse beads?
Yeah, melty beads like Perler. Hama beads. So, you do your little grid. Yeah. What do you call them?
Are you talking about the little
iron-on plastic beads? Yeah.
Fuse. Is that what they're called?
Fuse beads. Yeah.
Oh, I called them iron beads.
Yeah, iron beads. That's
iron beads.
Yeah. So fuse beads. So we just have different names for them apparently. So fuse beads. Or thermoplastic beads.
Or iron beads.
Because, again, it's kind of like...
melt them.
Yeah. It's like calling things, a Band-Aid. But that's a brand name. They're adhesive bandages.
Yeah.
So a lot of us call it by a brand name.
Yeah.
So us in America, we call them Perler. That company came out in America.
Mm-hmm.
So did you know that they are 66 years old?
No.
So see...
I think of it from like the 90s.
Yeah. Well... Apparently, these beads have been made of not these beads in general have always been made of a ton of different materials. They're all, they literally have been made throughout history as decoration. I love seeing like the Egyptian beaded necklaces and stuff that still are like, how did it make it?
Yeah.
But these specific plastic beads were originally made by a company called Munkplast in Sweden, which was in Munka Ljungby in 1958. And they were originally just plastic tubes, and they cut them down into the same size beads that we know today, which are about 5 millimeters. And they used them to be called, quote, Indian beads. And they would use them like on a huge loom, and they were made as like a ribbon. So and they were made as bracelets and beaded trims and stuff, but they were not made of the same kind of plastic. It was a very dense, hard, solid plastic.
Okay.
These beads, if you're not familiar with them, are really soft, and they're soft enough to be melted with an iron. But if you're a weird kid and would chew on them, they're totally they're very soft. So these were a much different, harder plastic, because plastic was very brand new back then. It was celluloid and like poison chemicals. Yeah. So, but then they ended up in 1962, a man named Gunnar Knudsen in Vällingby, Sweden. He patented a pegboard for these beads to be used. It was the same system as it is now. A pattern would go underneath these clear pegboards. And his patent was, I love this, was actually used for cognitive and motor skills as a therapeutic activity for the elderly.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah. And so the beads were not melted. They were actually, I actually don't have an example, but I believe it's going to be your little piece of paper with your pattern, and on top is your pegboard, then your beads, and you glued your board surface, whether it was paper. It was just glued. Yeah, so it was paper, or what they call like a masonry board, which is like a canvas that doesn't have the frame. It's a solid canvas, basically. Yeah. And so then they would glue it, and then it dried, and you would remove it, trim off any excess, and then they were used as wall decorations, or a trivet, which is you put a hot pot on it, so you can tell that plastic did not melt. Yeah. A teapot, whatever. And so they would end up being art on the walls, and I bet that was like super groovy in the 70s. Imagine like the pretty pixel art. So another brand, like I'm familiar with this brand because I do a lot of the fuse beads, not lately, but I did right before we moved here, because we have a stainless steel fridge now and they're not magnetic. Yeah. So the Hama, they started in the UK, and they took off with their pegboard and their own brand of beads in 1971. IKEA is actually a really pretty decently old company, which I was not aware of because we don't live in Sweden. But the Pisla brand of their beads, it's the same exact size. They're all 5 millimeter. They come in a bucket, and you can get they're not sorted, but they're so affordable.
I know, because we had one and it was full.
I bet it was all over the floor, right?
It fell in the laundry room, and they went everywhere. Yeah. And I vacuumed them up, and I threw everything away. I threw away the little plastic. I was like, this is not a craft I'm ever doing again in my house. I just threw it all away. Well, because it's all inexpensive. It's really inexpensive stuff. But I was just like,
and when it has cat hair, and you're not going to pick it out and try to don't.
But I literally threw away all the little plastic form things. Yeah. Yes, everything. All the books, everything. I was like, this is never, it was so messy. It was a big, they're
infuriating when they're not sorted. It's like 12,000, I think. Oh, was it the IKEA?
No, it wasn't the IKEA one. It was like the big one from Joann's, the big bucket with the handle. And all it took was falling down in the laundry room, and I was like, oh my god!
I think I was actually at your house when that happened.
Yeah, I think you were
last year.
Yeah,
really. Well, here's the plus side. If the older kids ever want to do some for whatever reason, I have so many, and I love them. And I have excuse me, I have Zelda and a Super Mario, like a whole book, like a whole pattern book, and it's like OG Zelda. And
I have an ornament on my tree that I made when I was like Avery's age,
cute.
and it's a heart.
Yeah, I really do love them. And I use it actually, which is sort of funny because I've always made a joke that I use it as physiotherapy for my arm because I have nerve damage, and the little tweezers, it's painful, but I'm like, it helps. It's moving.
Like when we were doing the diamond art.
Exactly. It really did. It did. But it does. It's I can see why it would work because you've got to be pretty precise.
Yeah.
So IKEA has the Pisla brand, their own, with matching pegboards and everything, and they are super well known. But for us living in North America, our brand is Perler, which it's funny because I always grew up hearing like
probably what was on the bucket. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
Which was like, do you do Perler? So that was like the all-encompassing. Do you do these melty beads? So it was founded in Cloverdale, California by Peter and Dee Dee. Peter and Dee Dee Schneck in 1981. And this is super cool, and I love this. So these beads, they switched to food-grade low-density polyethylene plastic in the end of the 70s, which that means if you make a little plate or a little box or something, it's totally food safe.
Yeah.
You could make a little gift box and put cookies or chocolate.
That is crazy.
And so then I was like, so when I used to chew on them when I was little, it was fine. I wasn't chewing poison. Yeah. But yeah, so it's actually food grade. I think that's really cool. So it means it's much less. You're not melting poison as much. You are, but it's not as bad for the you.
Like it's all.
Yeah, it's not going to release. Yeah, still. It's not going to release like ridiculous VOCs into the air. So, it's really funny because, and then it turned into, this was a kind of dangerous, but you also didn't have to use glue. It's a lot less messy because these small pieces should be used under adult supervision anyway. And then the thermoplastic moved so that we could melt it with an iron easily, quickly over the top. No need for glue and all this crap. And, you know, the only thing that ends up happening is you don't glue it and then you lift it and it's not done and it falls apart and you really can't redo it. But so these pixelated images nowadays, it's something that I know what they're called. The whole patterns are called bead sprites.
Okay.
I have no idea why. I could not find it. It's just like it's just a term that came up. But I have a world record. So the world record goes to this dude's name. I'm going to try to do my best. Claudiu Alexandru Șiopulescu.
Okay.
And he lives in Craiova, Dolj, Romania.
Okay.
And on July 10th, just last year, 2023, he made the largest bead sprite image. It was 58,482 mini 2mm beads. So not even the full size, the tinier beads. He used Hama brand, the UK brand, with 40 different colors. It took him 150 hours, and he used his grandmama's tweezers.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's crazy.
It is so beautiful. It's an Arabian woman. She has like oh man, I used to know the full name. Anyway, she has beautiful blue eyes, and it's like amazing.
That's so cool.
So here is the little bit that I had mentioned where I'm kind of like, I have a crazy little thing and it's kind of a crime, but it's just one of the things that was trying to be copied with this same kind of pixel art. There came a product called Aqua Dots.
Okay.
Is this ringing a bell? Okay, so there was a scandal with these Aqua Dots. What it was instead of a grid system, it was like a dimple system. You'd put your pattern underneath, you take your little tweezer suction cup thing and like bloop, 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 you drop the little dots in, and then you would spray them with water.
Yes, it's like the Quixels things.
Yeah.
Troy had.
Yeah, so it's like there's a bunch of different brands, and I think they all went off the market because of this. So it was a new toy on the scene, and it was coming to rival like Perler beads. And it was also really cute because they had like a translucency to them, so it made them kind of shiny. And as soon as you spritzed them with water, it would activate a type of adhesive on the edges that would just bond the whole thing together when it dried. So no hot irons, and even simpler. So In July of 2007, unfortunately, an 18-month-old named Ryan, who lived in Gilbert, Arizona, he swallowed some of these teeny tiny toy dot beads.
Yep.
And he started vomiting uncontrollably. And he had to be airlifted to the hospital. He ended up suffering with seizures and he stopped breathing and he went into a coma. Well, they ended up finding out through testing of what he ate was that there was a chemical coating on these tiny little balls that for some reason, when they were ingested, our chemical composition in our stomach acid broke down the coating into GHB, which is the date rape drug. Yeah. So it's insane. Bad enough and toxic and poison enough to our bodies, which I think I think that's like the prescription for that is Rohypnol. I believe that's what the prescription is because it's a sedative. It's used in, everything starts out as medical reasons. Yeah. So anyway, for a tiny baby's body, for us, that's poison. We'll black out. We have to get our stomachs pumped. But for a tiny baby body, that's why he was essentially poisoned. So what ended up happening is in November, it just took them a few months, which was too long. The Spin Master brand that was known, that made the Aqua Dots, they recalled and completely took off the shelves all of their products because 2 more toddlers after Ryan swallowed these beads and they both went into a coma as well. They did recover fully and they were fine. But unfortunately, when Ryan came out of his coma, he ended up suffering permanent organ damage and brain damage. And unfortunately, his family, they were awarded some money, but it was only $435,000 in damages. That's like nothing. That's nothing. That's probably 1/4 of that is going to go to that airlift bill. Yeah. It's bullshit. I don't understand. That little boy is going to have problems for the rest of his life because of a stupid toy. So anyway, sorry, that was weird, but like,
is it these?
They're super similar.
Yeah,
but these are
the same
squares?
thing, and it's the same thing, and you spray it with water.
Oh, how funny! That's crazy.
I had to look it up because I was like, I bet you it's the same thing.
Just like they probably reformulated.
I don't think they sell it any. I don't think they sell it
why
anymore.
It's $82? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, and why there's only one left. Wow.
So yeah, I know it's crazy. So well, in our Instagram post, I will totally post that beautiful picture that the Guinness Book.
I'm wondering. Made. This is the first year for Christmas that I have not bought Troy a world record book.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't want to get rid of any of the old ones, but I just noticed this last year he didn't look through it as much as he did prior years. So I was like, well.
I used to check them out from the library, and they never put everything in it. They just do a decent amount. So I'm like,
I wonder if there's one. I know he has the 2023.
Gotcha.
But
I used to love checking those out when I was a kid.
Yeah, he's got a lot. He has some from the 90s
there a TV
or early
show?
2000s.
Wasn't there
I don't
Guinness TV? No, I think it was on when you would watch the Ripley's Believe It or Not show.
Yes,
that they would have world record breakers there. Okay.
Yeah.
Kurt's on his way home.
Oh wow, that's early.
Yeah, so it's fine though. He's gonna come home and primp anyway.
So yeah, those beads, I never want to do that craft again with little kids in the house. It was just too much of a mess.
Now I want to chew on a bead.
You could probably go look on the floor in my laundry room. I'm sure there's one hiding by the baseboard
with a side of cat food.
Yeah, go dig behind the cat box. I'm sure there's one.
Ew, okay, enough.
So yeah, I didn't.
Here it is.
I didn't really pay attention to what they were called, but I was like, I know exactly.
Again, I suck. It did not give me the dimensions. It just told me how many beads there were.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I will update it and I'll add the dimensions when I do the Instagram post. This is what he made.
Okay.
It's that pretty.
Oh wow.
And no, it is
not. You can get
it
so detailed because of the tiny little pixels,
exactly. And
that's cool.
He did it the same way that everybody does. It's not done in one solid thing because there's not a pegboard that size.
Yeah.
So he does. And I can't even
imagine if you knock it and it's like,
no,
oh my gosh,
no.
like
so he has
rolling.
He has the They make a huge. I'm showing you.
Do you think
but
he
they
probably
make
had little sections and then,
I
puzzled
saw a
them
picture.
together?
Yeah, he would do I'm showing my hands. It's like a 4x4, maybe 5x5 square. He would do those, and then he would iron it and then iron it together. And I've tried to do multiple pieces like that because I had a huge Super Mario 3. It was when Mario was dressed as the Tanuki with his little tail and stuff. And you had to do like separate.
Yeah, like in pieces and then put them together.
I always fuck it up. Trying to iron it is hard. Trying to get the seam so that it melts together.
Yeah, I could not, because even on the simple ones I'd get where like one side's a little more melty than the other.
But dude,
it's
if
like
you had the Cricut heat press.
I was just going to say my Cricut heat press. It's
and
so
you
even.
can put a time, like a temperature. No, a temperature.
A temperature and a time. Okay, well,
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and then, not at my house.
No, it's okay. I know. I have a cardboard box. Again, I'm like this big. Everyone can see it. It's like a 20x17. It's big. Yeah. And it is full of, because like I actually went to the Perler website and I buy the individual bags of 1,000 so I don't have to sort the colors. I fucking refuse.
Gosh.
So mine is like meticulous. Like there are some that the colors are mixed together because I have the same buckets. I have like a bakery bucket and then the Mario one, it's all mixed together. But I eventually was like, I can't do this. And then I bought the individual colors. And it's crazy because you're like, oh, 1,000, that's a lot.
It's not.
And then you do like, because I did pretty detailed ones. Now I'm like, oh, where are they? Because our doors were metal. Are our doors metal now, our front doors? Or are they
front?
It's like steel, but then is our door metal? It is?
Mine is.
Because if it is, then I could put them on magnets on my door.
Yeah, yours is. There was a magnet on your door.
Did I put a magnet on my door?
I think maybe Lenore did or Kurt did or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so because
one of my kids did.
Make
your door's magnetic.
I would make my little perlers, my little bead sprites, and put them on the.
Yeah.
I think I need to start giving them out again with my orders when I sell stuff. Because I usually add something and they're just funny. And if they don't love them, they can toss it. Yeah. I don't care. It is a really good hyper focus activity.
Yeah,
and
it's good for ornaments.
It really is.
Mine from when I was like 11.
Lenore and I
have on
made
my tree
snowflakes one year because we had leftover white and clear. And we gave them to our friends in the apartment complex for ornaments. Yeah, it was really cute.
Wow. Well, good job.
Thanks. It's funny because we say it all the time. It's like, how many times do we do these crafts? I have no idea where it came from. Yeah. I don't know when it started. I have a couple others that I'm thinking of doing too. But you and I are probably going to have to put a list together.
Yeah.
And just like claim the little bits or whatever because we're running. It's getting difficult.
Would have never done that. I didn't even think about it. But, thinking about crafts from, like, I did the friendship bracelets. That was like a craft from the 90s that I did as a kid, And then that was another one that I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I meant to mention last week with the friendship bracelets. And I never completed it. I think I gave it to Crystal or one of my friends for like, hey, I know this was mine, but like, happy birthday or something. Because, when you're little, it was a Pocahontas friendship bracelet set that I bought from the book fair. The book fair. And I think probably 2nd grade, 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful because it was like Pocahontas color. So it was like very earth tone. It was like dark purple, a forest green, brown. Then her like turquoise.
What I went for was like earthy colors.
Yeah, it's pretty. I do like it a lot. Yeah. So yeah. I meant to mention that and I forgot. And I opened the book, got out the strings and was like, hell no. There's no way. I was like, nope, because I was way littler and I couldn't even braid hair yet.
Yeah.
I didn't learn to braid hair until 4th grade and I remember it perfectly, which is so silly, right? I remember it perfectly. 4th grade, Mrs. O'Neill's class. The girl's name was Allie. And it was one of those, like, her and I weren't really friends because she was like a little bit more of the popular girl, whatever. And I just remember her being like, do you want to play with my hair? While we were watching whatever on the roll-in TV. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I braided her hair, which is so dumb. I was like 9, but I remember it so well. This was the first time I successfully braided someone's hair. And I was like, I have to make this count.
I remember learning how to braid hair. I had the doll head thing, and I learned how to braid hair.
Cute.
But my mom braided my hair like every morning. And then I tried to take that same technique and braid my own hair, but I did it backwards. So it was like the raised braid, so not like the tucked in braid. What's it called? The where it's like, I don't know. It's like up on top, like it's the raised, like it's backwards. So,
I guess so.
Yeah.
Girl, I can barely braid now. I don't know why you're asking me.
No, it's a braid that's not like this, but it's like backwards. So it's like the bump. Bridge.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So.
Yeah, is that the fishtail when it's inside out?
No, the fishtail is when it's the 2 and it's like this.
They're really fine pieces of stranded hair too. It's not thick. Yeah, I don't know.
I could do that.
Wrong person.
Anyways, okay, well, time to bring it on down. Mine is not like going in the direction like yours was last week, but but yeah, it is. We're getting back into some normalcy.
Murder.
Normalcy. Yeah. Okay, so this is the case of Robin Upson. So this happens in Bellevue, Florida, back in 2018. So this is June 11th, 2018, around 4:20 p.m. A 911 call comes in, and it's from a man just off of Highway 40 in a national forest. So it's like there's trails and stuff, but he lives in one of the houses he rents. And so he said he thinks he found a human torso.
Ooh.
Yeah. He just, in this 911 call, he's like, it's definitely human remains. So he said he was walking, saw some blankets of some sort, took a stick to lift him up to look what was underneath it. He said he could smell something pretty gross. When he lifted it up, he noticed striped underwear. So that's how he knew, like, it has to be human remains. It's not like a deer or, some animal.
Sorry, it's not funny. I just imagine a deer with underwear on.
You don't know. It's like, that's your dead giveaway. It's like, that is not an animal.
Yeah, you can't confuse it with anything else.
It's under something, too. So it's not. So anyways, there is body cam footage from this episode I watched. It will be in the sources. So I watched all this. And so officers arrive on the scene. And they're talking to the 911 caller, and he said that, I ran a house up a little way, and I noticed some turkey buzzards circling around. So he decided to follow the trail where the birds were, and he came upon this pile of blankets. And he, didn't know what it was, and like I said, he, just lifted it up with a stick.
You can't help, especially why would blankets be in a pile in a forest and the
what's
buzzards
that smell?
are
and then there's
around.
Birds and what's going on?
I'd be afraid a hiker died or someone camping.
So you can see as he's walking, it's just to the left of the trail. It's not even far in. It's right there off the trail. So you're walking this little trail and it's just right there. You can see it. As officers looked more closely, they could see, obviously, definitely human remains. And then you can hear one of the cops say, "There's no head."
Oh, gosh.
It's just a torso. No head, no arms, no legs. So officers immediately, of course, call major crimes. They're like, we need to, secure the scene.
If it's a bear or something, it's going to be there's probably going to be an arm and a leg left.
This is very suspicious circumstances. So major crimes is called in. They obviously secure the scene, and then they need to do more of an in-depth interrogation or interview, I should say, with the person that found the body.
Of course.
It's you just came across a dead body. They ask about, how did the sheets look? He said it just looked like a pile of sheets or cloths or something. He said it appears that the officer was like, well, it looks like maybe there was something on top of the sheets. Was there something on top? And he's like, I don't think so. He's like, I have no idea, who this person is. I just live up there, and so the officers are like, okay, can you stay until the investigators come, and we'd like to get some DNA from you. That's pretty standard, just to rule out if his DNA might be on a sheet. Well, he was there, he said he moved it, but if there's no DNA anywhere else on her, it definitely rules him out, just to cover their bases.
Yeah, of course.
So of course he complies, and that's a good sign always. If you comply. And the officer that interviewed him said, he doesn't look like a suspect. It's just he clearly came upon this, which is totally reasonable. You see some birds. Let's follow the trail. What are these birds? He's just thinking he's going to find a dead animal.
I'm like, I do taxidermy. I'd be like, what's over there?
Yeah, exactly. So, so he's not really a suspect. He just came across the body. So Sergeant Aaron Levy from the Marin County Sheriff's Department was brought in as the lead investigator.
I'm so sorry. What state is this? Have you said?
Yeah, this is in Florida.
Okay, because there's a Marion County in Oregon. I was like, it's so funny when when you hear something else, you're just like, where is it?
Yeah, this is in Florida. Marion County Sheriff's Department. So Sergeant Aaron Levy is the one who's the lead on this. He's going to come up a lot. Okay. He's basically, well, he is a lead detective. He's the one leading this whole thing. So the first task, obviously, identify the victim.
Yeah.
It was clear it was a female torso. And there was a unique tattoo on her shoulder that was a robin perched on a tree branch. It almost looked like a cherry blossom branch, but it was a robin. And the age of the victim or even the race, you can't determine because of the remains being out and the elements for so long. So the first thing detectives have to look at is missing persons in the area. And they can see that someone had reported her friend missing. And this missing person was Robin Upson, who was 63. And her friend had made the missing person's report after not seeing her for a few days. I'm like, that's a good friend. But I guess if you have a routine and it's like, I can't get a hold of her, she's not answering her door, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. I haven't seen her for a while.
We talk to our moms every morning. We've talked about that before. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't immediately panic, but
if like 3-4 days go by and like radio silence, I'd be freaking out. Yeah. So this friend knew, like, this is not right. So she filed a missing persons report. So detectives then went to this person, Robin Upson, her mother's house to speak with her. And her mother said that she hadn't talked to her for a while. And so then they asked her about like tattoos. Like, does she have any new tattoos? And so her mom tells them like, oh, well, she got a new, tattoo on her finger. Obviously that's not helpful because the limbs are missing.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was like, oh, and she does have like a pretty big one on her shoulder. It's of a robin.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when they knew the victim was Robin Upson, who the missing person was. So they showed her mother pictures of the tattoos, and she positively identified the robin as her tattoo.
I know that they will crop it as best as they can.
It was. They showed it, and
but it's just like knowing that that's a photo of your daughter's dead shoulder, her body. Like, even if you crop it, that's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it. I might post it. I don't know because it is, but it's really pretty. It's a little Robin because her name's Robin.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she was like, that's definitely her tattoo. And then this other one, like, I don't really know. It's like you don't know like every tattoo that someone has, but she definitely identified that, and they just knew missing person, tattoo. Like, what are the chances? And so in the timeline kind of matched. So I watched the body cam footage because it's the officers talking to the mom, and I don't know like what their relationship was, but the mom was just kind of like a little cold, like, yep, that's her tattoo. It just seemed odd. So I'm like, I don't know, they could have had a very strained relationship. I don't know, it just seemed
grief
a little
response
weird.
Is weird.
But
shock, like it trying to process, like
so but what came out of this is they knew it was Robin.
Yeah.
So detectives then get a search warrant for Robin's house. And when they get there, they could see like, oh, she must have had some tree work done because there's like tree limbs and branches all over the front of her house, like driveway, like in front of the garage door. And the garage door had also been left partially open.
Oh, that's weird.
And the backyard also showed a lot of tree work, branches everywhere. So then they go into the house. They found a mattress in the living room that was covered in blood.
Ooh.
Then they go into the garage, and there's blood on the floor, there's blood on the walls, and the ceiling. So they decided to use luminol throughout the house to see if there were areas that looked like maybe the suspect was trying to clean. Sure enough, there was. There's blood in the tub. There's on the floors, walls, and on some power tools. Yeah. So that's when they were able to determine that most likely the dismemberment of her body happened in the garage with the amount of blood and blood on power tools. So
but you said the mattress was in the living room?
Yes.
Okay, not in the garage.
No.
Okay.
So I don't know if it started in the living. It's just there's blood throughout the house too. So he could have had it on him. It wasn't like a blood-soaked mattress. There was blood on the bed, the mattress on the floor. So it's not like what you're thinking. But it's just throughout the house, and you can see with luminol, he cleaned the suspect cleaned up throughout the house. So yeah. So they're searching throughout her house, and her head and limbs are not found. So they're not in the house. So detectives then canvass the neighborhood, and they start talking to people to see, anybody see anything, hear anything. They talked to one of her friends, and she said that she hadn't seen Robin in about a week. And she also said that Robin had 8 animals in the house. Robin had 4 cats and 4 dogs. And she said she would have never left them in the home. She would have boarded them or called a friend if she was leaving. So, yeah. So obviously something horrible happened. And her poor animals were left behind.
Yeah.
So detectives then started talking to her about Robin's pickup truck, and she was like, "Yeah, that's gone." And so they get the information from her, like the make and the model. It was like a Ford F-150, and oh, she's got Florida
plates.
Those
are so popular. Those
yeah,
trucks.
but it was a pretty noticeable, like distinguishable car. So it's like, oh, that's her truck, So the neighbors knew
they're nice trucks.
And so it was like, Florida plates, like the neighbor was, or the friend was like, I haven't seen the truck since seeing Robin. So detectives then go and talk to another neighbor named Patricia. And once again, body cam footage, you can watch this. Immediately they, ask her if she knows Robin. And she says, is she dead? Which I guess, like, there's a crime scene. But, like, why are you asking me? Is she dead? Like, something happened? Then she says...
I would never...
I know. Then she says... That does not surprise me. Yeah, you're like, what?
Me?
Exactly.
Every time, I'm like, to think of a cop coming up and asking me if I know someone, I'm gonna be like, what did they do?
Yeah.
Not is she dead?
Yeah. So I was like,
Gosh.
A little weird. But so then they just go on and they're like, okay, tell me a bit about Robin. And she says that Robin had been her client, and she said that she saw. I don't know the extent of what this client thing is, but I don't know. But anyway, so
like client, customer, like
yeah, okay. I think so. So she then said that she saw a guy driving her truck about a week ago, headed south on 441, and she said that she noticed because Robin's truck is, like I said, very noticeable. Everyone knows her truck, and she said that she also saw the man smoking in the truck, and she was like, Robin would never, never have let that happen. So detectives actually were able to locate Robin's truck at a cafe. I think it's like an internet cafe.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. Those still exist?
I think so, yeah. But it was actually really close to Robin's house. So they went there and looked at the surveillance footage, and they see the video of her truck there. So they start talking to employees, and one of the employees noticed the truck. She said, oh, I noticed that on Tuesday. And so while they're talking, they're towing the truck for evidence, because that's, obviously she didn't drive it there.
Yeah.
So, this one lady, she's like, oh yeah, I saw it like pull up, on Tuesday. I saw it on camera. It was weird because it was like pouring rain, and she saw a man get out, close the door, and then walk off. Like down the road.
Just leaving it there.
Yeah, just left. But the direction he was going is actually the direction towards Robin's house. So just in that direction. Don't know if he went back there or what, but so she only said I could just tell it was a white male. That's it. It's like grainy surveillance footage of your parking lot. It's like the side lot.
And from far away, you can't be like, he was 6 foot, whatever. It's hard to tell.
So they just know, okay, well, our suspect's a white male. So they were like, did you touch the truck or whatever? She's like, no, it didn't have any tint, and I could just see right in, and I saw that there were like some keys and like a garage door opener on the dash. So they look in the truck, and they find a Walmart receipt.
Oh.
And on the receipt, it shows a reciprocating saw and trash bags.
Oh my God.
Other things. Yes. So they knew they needed to go to Walmart. So they have, time-stamped on the receipt, date, time. Let's go look at that surveillance footage. So you can clearly see her truck drive up into the parking lot and park. And then you see a white male go through the store and get every item on that receipt. So now they have a better place to find out, like, okay, who is this man? They have a picture of him now from the surveillance footage. So they then decided to bring Robin's daughter, Summer, in to talk to see if maybe she knows, like, anything that could be helpful, and to see if, like, she knows the man in the footage, in the surveillance footage. So they take out the picture, And once again, you can see this, it's all recorded. And they say, do you know this man? And she was like, yeah, that's him. He just looks angrier or something. She knew who it was.
Mm-hmm.
She said, that's Chris Talkfar. Yeah. So she said they met him a while back, and like her mom and him would do like some business ventures together.
There's a lot of weird client business happening.
I know. So I think it was more of like entrepreneurial stuff. Like
Yeah.
he wanted to start a tattoo shop or whatever. So yeah, they did some like business ventures together. And then she also said that he had lived in one of the rooms in the house.
Oh, okay.
So she said that Chris had also at one point gone over and taken care of her grandfather while he lived there. And this obviously makes him look really trustworthy. It's like, oh, he's taking care of grandpa, like, and he's friends with mom. It's not too bad or whatever. And so then she goes on with the business stuff. They're like, what's with the business stuff? And she was like, well, actually, one of the business ventures almost put my mom into bankruptcy. She said, Chris is the one, they're asking like, so did Chris bring money into this or whatever? And she's like, no, Chris is the one with the ideas and mom is the one with the money. And so she was like, I don't have any contact with him. He's never contacted me, but I just know he has like a Facebook and that's it. Which like, who doesn't have a Facebook? So this part, I wanted to include this because I was like, it just shows like how sweet her daughter is. Obviously, she's distraught over this. And then she asked the detective, she was like, can I write a note to whoever you find that did this? Nothing like spiteful or mean. But I just want to write a note and put it in a Bible. And can you give it to them? Because clearly they need Jesus. And he was like, yeah, I can do that for you. So she wrote her note and put it in a Bible. And he kept it to give to them. And she was like, thank you. I just think it'll really help me heal. So I just thought, oh, how sad. And so moving on, detectives now know this is our main suspect. He bought all the stuff. He's driving her truck.
Yeah.
Like, and he ditched her truck. We got to find this guy.
Yeah.
So they start looking at Chris and they see that he had lived in Marshall, Texas. So Sergeant Levy flew from Florida to Texas and interviewed Chris's mom. She said that Chris had lived in Hawaii for a few years, but he would come into the mainland because he had like a friend in California or a sister or something in California, and then friends in Florida. And she said, like, he's a tattoo artist, and as far as she knew, he's doing well with that career. I think that's like one of the business ventures was like, oh, let's open a tattoo parlor, whatever. So she said he came out most recently because he had a friend in Florida that he stayed with off and on. Robin.
Yeah.
And helped her with some stuff. And this time before he left Hawaii to go to Florida, he told her he was going to help his friend Robin and that he owed her money. Oh. And so she said that he told her that like also like, oh, well, like Robin wanted to be more than friends. And he wasn't interested in that. And so think about this. It's obviously he's taking advantage of the fact that Robin cares for him and is willing to give him money for these business things or whatever. So they're like, well, is he a violent guy? Does he, she's like, yeah, well, other than like some domestic stuff, what that means.
It.
Yeah.
Just some relationship beatings.
Like, he just has a little bit of a temper. So it's like, this is just building a stronger case.
Yeah.
Violent temper, owed money, red flags. Like this has got to be the guy. So, so they just knew, like, we got to find this guy. He's our number one suspect. So Robin, she was just that type of person. I'm going to post a picture of her with her Harley. She rode a Harley Davidson and she would actually like take trips all over the country. So she had like an adventure like spirit to her. She had courage and just like even in situations where she like maybe was a little scared going cross country.
Did I hear right? She's like 61?
63.
Oh, okay.
So she's older, but there's a like really cool picture of her with her Harley, and it kind of reminds me of Jack's dad with his Harley, like his favorite picture of him. And so she just, everyone that talked about her was like, she's just this great person. So I could see how someone like Chris would take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And she's this really cool person, adventurous, takes risks, I'm sure, with, so.
Yeah, life and money.
Yeah. So there was actually like no funeral or memorial for her. Her mom just like got her remains cremated and just got them herself. So everyone like on the show that I watched was just talking about her and how nice she was. So knowing a little bit about her, I can kind of see where she was probably taken advantage of. It's always the nice one.
Exactly. It's always the nicest people.
So in Jefferson, Texas, on August 15th, 2018, around 7 p.m., a phone call came in that Chris was staying with someone in the area.
Oh, so he went pretty far away.
Yeah, so he went from Florida back to Texas, where his mom was.
Not that far, but still.
So they were able to go arrest him, and they were able to arrest him on a warrant for stealing the Upton family's van. Oh. So it was like they have to have a reason to bring him in, So he's arrested. So this guy is 43 years old. His name is Christopher Lee Tokvar, and he was arrested for Robin's murder, of course, because you did it.
Right.
Like it's
there's so much evidence.
Obvious.
Yeah. There's nobody else they're even looking at.
Yeah. So once again, Sergeant Levy flew out to Texas to interview Chris. Because remember, he's on the lead, so he's in Florida, so he's got to fly out to Texas to interview Chris. So Chris says that he met Robin through a friend of his named Mary, and he and Robin had been friends for about 20 years. He said that he had gone to Florida, and while he was there, he did some tree cutting at Robin's house. Reason for all the tree branches and stuff.
And what, the saw?
Yeah, the chainsaw. So he had a chainsaw. He was doing all the tree trimming and stuff. And he then says, I don't want to laugh. It's just this.
Sometimes it's so stupid and ridiculous.
Stupid. You're going to be infuriated because I literally wanted to scream. So he said that while he was there, he did the tree cutting at her house. And then she got mad at him about how he was doing it and told him to stop. And she was just going to call a professional.
Okay.
So that's what he said. So he said that she was like, I need you out.
That's why there was a mess
and just leave. Yeah. Just leave. So he was asked if he knew, do you know what's going on with Robin or anything? He's like, I don't know. I haven't talked to her since that day. So he said that he hasn't heard anything at all about Robin, that she was killed or anything.
Missing.
Like, I don't know anything.
Yeah, his friend, and he doesn't even know that she's missing, and there's a big possibility they found her parts.
Exactly. He's plain stupid. So Sergeant Levy then tells Chris that he's investigating Robin's homicide, and he just needs to get some more information. So he says that now Chris is changing his story. He's like, okay, well, after that, I went into the spare bedroom and I could hear Robin talking to some guy on the phone. And then the next day when I got up, she was gone.
So good mattress. He's sleeping over. He's crashing there and went, okay.
So gotcha. Sergeant Levy then tells him that he knows he was using her truck. They're like, we know, we have you on camera using her truck.
Yeah.
And we can trace you to an internet cafe. And of course, he's still playing stupid. And the detective's like, your timelines don't match. You're saying you woke up, she was gone. So she left in her truck. But then a little bit later, you're seen in her truck?
Yeah.
Come on, And
she must have took an Uber.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So Chris is then asked, okay, so what type of relationship do you have with her? And he was like, oh, we're just friends. And they were like, well, is it romantic, or did she want it to be romantic? And he was like, no, it wasn't romantic, but she wanted it to be. She wanted more.
Yeah.
And so then Chris was asked about, okay, what's up with all these business ventures? And he said that Robin helped him out with some money. And when asked about how much he owed her, he said about $16,000. That's a lot. That's a lot to owe someone.
Yeah.
So obviously they're starting to put the pieces together. Robin most likely got sick of him not giving her money back.
Exactly.
And not returning romantic interest, if that is even the thing, which it could have been, Yeah. And so she could have just been fed up with him. So he then says that the day, he's now changing his story again. The day that Robin got angry with him, he was sitting out on the back porch smoking a cigarette, having a little break in between cutting tree branches. And Robin just comes out of the house yelling at him and was shaking a knife at him.
Okay.
So he was like, unfortunately, it got violent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he was like, and I had a chainsaw in my hand. So
he
now
punched
claiming,
her in the face with a chainsaw.
He's now saying that when she came at him with the knife, he hit the button and, quote, defended himself. That's his now story.
Because a knife and a chainsaw are like totally... You wouldn't even have to turn it on.
No. Just
hit her in the face.
Yeah.
Hit her in the
knife
arm.
out of her hand. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So...
Especially because like a chainsaw has like a 3-foot reach.
Yeah. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Is that the part you're talking about?
Yeah, so I got so mad where I'm like, defending yourself against a woman with a kitchen knife.
And yeah, which is
like
a maximum
chainsaw.
blade length of like 10 inches and you have a chainsaw.
I'm like, are you serious?
You could have threw the turned off chainsaw at her and knocked her over. That is
anything other than I just pushed the button and defended myself.
Fight or flight.
Defended yourself?
Oh,
please.
come
You're
on.
A man.
With a chainsaw.
Against a 63-year-old woman. That's the thing. I was so mad. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? I like literally had to like pause it for a second because my face is so hot. Yeah. I was like, this is so stupid. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, even if it was real, like you said, a knife,
there's
a longer chainsaw.
Like you and I both have really long arms.
Yeah.
The chainsaw, like put your arm out again. So we are doing arm to arm. Amy and I are both really long armed and we're tall. A knife to you would be maybe like you pointing it at me would be hitting my maybe farther than my wrist.
Knuckle.
A chainsaw would be at you.
At my face.
At your face.
At my face,
like, come on now.
Yeah, so it's like you're talking about getting your knuckles nicked with a knife or...
Turn the chainsaw and cut her hand off.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get that close.
Yeah, so I...
Oh my God.
So he... Yeah, I was so mad.
That's
I was
so offensive.
mad, and I just couldn't... I had to, like I said, I had to pause it and like stand up and like walk around for a minute because it was so stupid. I was like, oh, now he's taking that I was defending myself thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand it. So anyways, so they're getting the story.
Yeah.
So then the detective's like, do you know Robin's daughter, Summer? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't want to talk to her. And so he then takes out the Bible with the note inside and hands it over. Oops. And, you know, and he's like, well, she wanted you, the person who did this to her mother, to, you know, have this. So, you know, there's a note inside and she wanted you to have this. And then Chris says,
are you shaking?
I am. Sorry. So mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, quote, and I watched this. I watched these words come out of his mouth hole, and I wanted to punch him. I wanted to punch him.
Yeah.
I don't know how the detective didn't just like have to get up and walk out of the room and just like, oh, okay. So he says, after receiving this Bible from her daughter, he says, quote, I don't think defending myself was a sin, but dismembering her body was not very polite.
Oh, that's the last.
Politeness, that's what we're worried about.
Problem.
I was so like, oh, I had to pause it again. I was like, so my face is like, is it red?
No.
I'm so mad. I was so mad when
you are getting a little flushed.
It just makes me so mad. The whole the lies, the self-defense, I was just like, this poor woman.
I defended myself with a chainsaw.
That's not self-defense, that's murder.
That's crazy.
So, and dismembering her body. So after this, Chris then starts to confess to the whole crime.
Exactly. It's like, call the police the moment it happens. I defended myself with a chainsaw. I know it was wrong. She's hurt. Like, come on.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So he, of course, admits he has to. He was seen on surveillance at Walmart. He admitted to going to Walmart after killing her. He said that everything with the reciprocating saw and dismemberment happened in the garage. So then they were like, where's the rest of her body? Where's her arms, her legs, and her head?
Yeah.
And he says he buried her limbs and head in the backyard. And then he drew a map of the backyard showing...
Of her own house?
Yes. And drew a map of her backyard showing where he buried her limbs and head. And so Sergeant Levy flew back to Florida. And they were able to locate the remains where Chris said that they were in her backyard. The remains were actually partially encased in cement, and so it actually helped preserve some of her face. They were able to obviously, you know, it's like, well, these are obviously her limbs. So now her entire body was found. So I don't know if like then the rest of those were, I'm sure the rest of those were cremated and added to the remains that they had. So it was undeniable. So of course, jump ahead to the end. He was charged with second-degree murder, found guilty, and sentenced to life in prison. And
oh my gosh.
I think just like watching, I think watching the interview and watching him say the words and lie and change up his story, and then just it's so cold, and I was so infuriated.
He's just so convinced he quote unquote
defended himself.
And the thing is, maybe that somehow is what happened
in his head. Maybe
like what if she did come out with a knife or whatever, but to stand so firmly by how ridiculous that is, he's got to convince himself that it was okay.
But the dismembering part is what took it to a next level, where that's not defending yourself.
No, that's hiding a crime,
and you more than likely were not defending yourself in the beginning.
For sure.
If you took it the next step to then go after killing her to Walmart, purchase a reciprocating saw, come back to the house and dismember her, bury half of her in her own backyard, cover it with some cement, and then take her torso and toss it in the woods under some sheets.
I always found that to be such a strange thing in movies, television. I know this is real life, but just like the amount of times that people supposedly defend themselves and then go to these amazing lengths to cover it up, which again, if it was totally self-defense, you probably could have got away with it in the way of like really explaining it when it happens, the moment it happens, not after you chopped them up and hid them. And why would you go to such great lengths to try?
The charges
he tried to get away with it for as long as possible by separating identifying markers.
Yeah. And if he, like you said, if he would have just called and this happened, the charges would have been totally different. But no, second-degree murder. And
he would have got a manslaughter charge, let's say, which I don't think it was, but like he probably would have got a manslaughter, like a crime of passion, weird charge. But
I was trying to find the court documents to try to find out some more information, but I was like, I don't think I want to go any more deeper into this. It was a lot. But it kind of really, when you were talking through your last episode about the bodies and all of that, all I could think about was this, because I had already had this done, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think that's why it really got to me. But so
especially to have to be a family member and all the parts aren't together, you're always gonna be like, where's the rest? Why is it gone? That would be an issue. I'm glad they were able to get the rest.
So she's all
in her own backyard, and then the other part moved away. Like, it's so much deception. Cleaning it. Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I had never heard of it before until I started
researching
it.
Yeah. Good job. Gross.
Thanks. I know.
I'm sorry.
They're all gross.
I know. There's so many of them. Like my freaking Todd Kenthammer when you watch the interviews and you hear them and see them lying. I
think that's why this got to me so bad.
Yeah. And it really is like so many of these nowadays, because the way that body cam footage is like enforced so strongly. There is a lot of this that we are allowed to see at the same time, because it is sort of public. They're public servants, so it's sort of a court of opinion. They want to be able to see that footage in case, yada yada. So we see it. I'm all drooling because I'm talking. I'm not even swallowing. I'm like,
well, that's like
it's gross to see psychotic in person. Essentially, you're watching these people emphatically lying and believing it in whatever capacity they do to cope with what they have done. Sometimes I wonder how much of it really is like evil versus like the compartmentalization and the collapse of someone's mental state, and they have to cope with it by just
you could just tell.
You can
and that's
tell
where,
when they're just shitty people.
So the show, and I go back to the show a lot with a lot of my cases, because it's so good, because it's a lot of body cam footage and surveillance footage and stuff. It's a show on Discovery Plus called The Murder Tapes.
Okay. I've seen some of those.
And so I can't remember. There's a couple cases I've covered in the past, but it's really informative because the detectives talk, and it's not a lot of reenactment or anything like that at all. It's just body cam footage, crime scene footage, interviews, so you can
interrogation interviews.
Yes, and so you can kind of formulate your own deduction as you're watching it. And so I was like, this guy.
It's so messed up and crazy to me that almost every single case you and I have covered, like, I haven't heard of that, and you're like, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
And like you and I have been watching
those.
true crime for a long time.
Yeah.
My mom has been into it for a long time too, you know, but we had kind of talked about this in the beginning that we will cover like, you know, my Jerome Brudos case, but that wasn't what we came here for. It wasn't like what everyone's talked about already. It's these really messed up in-betweeners that
small, just normal everyday
and
people
it's still sad.
Yeah.
It's still really sad, and that's why I like the nice parts, trying to talk about the nice parts, because these are still humans and their family is still out there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these have been pretty recent.
Yeah, there's a case that I'm going to do coming up. I just started researching it today after talking to my mom, because she was talking about over Christmas. It was like right before the new year, there was a body found in Newport Beach in the Back Bay area. And I've been there. I've been to the Back Bay area, and it was like on a sandbank. And so she sent me the video of they had the body in the body bag. And so we cannot find anything else about that. I don't know if it was an accidental drowning. So then when I started, you know, I just did a basic Google search, like Newport Beach, we just know it was a man from witnesses that were there. In a black leather jacket, and so I don't know if it was an accidental drowning,
like passed out and the tide came in, or something.
Yeah. So I was explaining, we were talking about it, and I'm like, well, they're moving their body, they're not securing a crime scene there, because when the tide comes in, that's not land anymore. It's literally
there's nothing.
It
there.
literally is disappeared. It's underwater. So, I did a Google search, you know, just Newport Beach, Back Bay. Body found, and there's surprisingly a lot, and it's really unfortunate. I mean, it's
not him. You mean like a lot
others,
of cases,
but not him. I couldn't find anything about him, but then I did find one that I'm going to cover. But I'm like, wow, it's a body of water, and unfortunately, you know,
that
rivers, lakes,
especially
the
salt,
ocean,
and it's so abrasive because it's sand scrubbing. The body just gets scrubbed, like literally.
Yeah. So,
and like sea stars and stuff.
But yeah, it's those cases where it's just like one person. What happened? You know, it's not like a serial killer.
And they matter, just like serial killer victims. They are an individual that has somebody that cares about them.
So yeah, Robin, like I said, I'm going to find a picture to show you right now so I can get your real-time reaction to her motorcycle photo. Of course now I can't find it. I just typed in her name and I can see a picture of her. They showed a lot of pictures of her in high school. So there's like this one from her in high school. Oh, that's like a black and white. Yeah. And then here it is. Oh, it's all super grainy.
It's okay, you can still show me.
Yeah, there's a few of her on her Harley. Here's her with her helmet.
She looks proud.
Then her Harley. So I was like, it reminds me of Jack's dad. Yeah. Literally same stance, like that's standing on the bike.
Oh my God, posing. Motorcycles are so hard to hold up.
Yeah.
They are so heavy.
But here is her and his nasty face.
Ew.
So do you see why I just was so mad? I'm just like,
bitter
stop
beer face,
talking,
nasty neck tattoo.
Yeah, but yeah. So this is one of those cases where like, I'll remember Robin. I'll think of her and
when you see
Harley,
motorcycles,
or when I see a Robin.
I never see enough of those here. Up in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of them. So when I was a kid, because our backyard wasn't huge, but it had so much foliage. And so we always had a lot of animals and like raccoons and all kinds of different birds. And now being here, I'm like, we have a lot of cute songbirds, but I miss seeing robins. I don't see them often.
No, I think up in Lake Arrowhead, I saw a few. But yeah, so anyways.
Rest in peace, Robin.
Yes. Okay, well, with that, stay crafty.
And not crimey.
Bye.